The Elder Scrolls series. Well, of course I have played Skyrim, but not much. Like, only beginning and exploring some dungeons, either just because of main or side quest. So, I haven't finished it. And of course I know it gets realized all the time. And at some point I got on the Elder Scrolls games on got old games, which I thought was when buying Oblivion. I got older Elder Scrolls games and with which I bought all mainline games. So I thought it was finally time to check where this series started, if I already had older games. And of course with the Elder Scrolls Arena. However, I have only the first two games, not counting Skyrim, Arena and Daggerfall. Well, for Daggerfall, there's also only the version, which is GOG. But now those games are free on GOG, either which was the case all of the time on GOG, or I got them when these games were given for free in limited time on GOG and went back to being paid games. And then at some point they become free for all the time, or when I got them, they were free all the time on GOG. Actually, it turns out Ellie's Arena is also available on Steam for free. Of course, the GOG version is Plague Tractor's box. I assume it is the same with the Steam version. I already will be saying the Elder Scrolls Arena didn't age well. Or it was made to be played with reading a manual or maybe even a guide. But how I am playing the game and how the game was made, I think I wouldn't find awful stuff to progress the game for correct save. So if I want to follow the guide, then I will need to start a new game, which I won't do. In fact, I already did that because of myself. I dragged a guide that is on Arena's GOG page is following steps to be able to complete the game, which is long, but on a quick glance of every page that isn't the case. And the longer document is about a table of stats for enemies and maybe for player classes, and descriptions of them, and maps of every dungeon. So of course I didn't finish the game, because I think I know enough of the gameplay loop. The Elder Scrolls Arena was developed by Bethesda Software and originally published by themselves only in North America, and by OS Gold only in the UK. Of course, nowadays Bethesda Software published it on GOG and Steam. The premise is that someone using a disk case wants to absorb the drone, or it did it already, and 3 Vonodesat was killed. Then, because of magic, she communicated with the player shelter. 4 was imprisoned in a dungeon. Rhea shared about it and tasked the player shelter to find specific stuff to deal with the situations. And of course mentioned that there's no point sharing about the imposter, because nobody would believe it. I don't have much, if any, to say about the story, because firstly, I didn't finish the game, and secondly, I think the story is in the background, when it takes a time for the player to get directions on what the player needs to do for main story. Always I'll start with moment and combat. The game is always in first person, not counting coin drop menus. Moving using arrow keys or mouse to move by clicking on specific arena on screen. And I needed to read manual, which is up from GOG, and I place also from Steam, to be able to attack using a melee weapon. Like I couldn't figure out how to attack, and no matter what I did, I couldn't attack enemies, and then enemies killed me. And I thought maybe the game was glitched out at least in Xbox. After reading the manual, it's by dragging the right mouse button and features different animations of how you attack based on how you drag the right mouse button. There are only 3 animations for it. Finally, when I got out of the dungeon, then I wasn't sure what to do. With trial and error or reading the manual or different documented interact was accurate, I found out by talking with NPCs, by asking for remotes you can find a quest about what to do, which might be side quests. But before that I was free roaming in the world arena, and I thought I would be able to reach a different town or city, but no, and then I got lost. Then reading either a manual or a different document, which I thought was a fault drug, I found out fast travel was already in the series from very beginning of the franchise. And the quests what you do only in the town, like escorting, delivering something, returning as items back and more, are without you doing a combat. Maybe except if you do it at night, but then you might not be able to complete the quest, because the place where you need to go belongs to these kind of quests are better to do at night, so explore your town. People doesn't give you quest to kill something. There's no killing quest from town people. Yeah, this game is a day and night cycle, and with it calendar days, which adds a time limit to quests. And with it there are seasons. And of course Emperors can give you quests mostly the same as previous mentioned, but to different towns, which makes you also fast travel function, but also going to a dungeon, which also is accessible by fast travel function, and the dungeon wasn't accessible at least by using fast travel beforehand. But afterwards, you can visit the dungeon using fast travel. From general remotes, the game gives you directions to key items to the main game, but it takes a long time, and at first I stopped asking for general remotes. But after starting a new game, somehow I started asking for general remotes, and then found locations to the first key item. And which I tracked the quest reward was only money, because it was only mentioned, I think, as a reward. And then when I got tired of doing them, I wanted to explore dungeons, so I called in experience. But in one instance, after completing a quest, I gained a level, and then at first I wasn't sure if doing quests gives you experience, and after starting a new game, for unknown time I paid attention that I earned experience doing quests. Well, before all this, which maybe I should mention it then, but what is done is done. There's two ways of some form of character customization. One way is generating a character by answering its multiple questions, not a question. But it didn't work out for me because I couldn't see answers options, or I misunderstood it. Second one is of course basic character customization, like selecting the class, naming the character, increasing skills. Different class gives different skill points. And you're online and choosing your homeland, which also is choosing your race. Of course, the areas that appear in further games were already from the very beginning of the franchise. There's some kind of equipment durability system, and the only noticeable thing that the restorability is shown as equipment conditions. Speaking of equipment, you can check what the equipment does only from the inventory, and don't know if your race and or class can't equip it is by having it in inventory, which is shown in a red text. There's also vertigo and fake systems. Or maybe varies by location if you run out of vertigo. About fake Twitch, I didn't experience, but it probably will stop you adding more stuff to your inventory in one way or other. This game jump scares me because enemies can spawn nearby and the player even if the camera will end with the enemy surprise me and I get jump scared. Normally I don't mention graphics and this is on script, but okay, of course, it may, well, of course I didn't age it well, but with these graphics the game is still playable, and of course for the time it was fine graphics. Yeah, they didn't age well, but this game is still playable. And of course, for the time when it was originally released, then graphics works for this game. Only specific classes can be what? Only specific classes can use magic, but for which they add weird controls, but maybe the game gets paused when selecting a spell which happens and selecting a matching item or potions, or well, or maybe that wasn't revealing the weird controls, but weird way to obtain them, or weird way to know its spell's power or effect names or something like spell stats. That part is weird. Maybe. I forgot what I read. To check a little bit of different classes, I constantly started a new game. When motion changes a game lags. Speaking of sound, when attacking there is audio clipping. You can write on a map to not where specific locations are, except in the vault map. And with that, if you ask for a direction to an NPC, and if you are close enough to said location, then NPC writes the locations for you. Because in water you can't have your weapon out and then going through the water pushes. Then the enemy can block your fate. And then you can't finish the quest if there are no other ways to get to the locations. Because both mouse buttons always in some menus do the same thing, then you can accidentally override your other cycle. When being in combat, you can misclick on what you didn't need to, like trying to camp, either just by using melee attack or trying to use a magical item or a spell. Camping is either to pass time or healing, which can be done only in safe areas. Of course, there are status effects which linger until you heal it. Either game or those books isn't there at visual glitches. For some reason, work mods can lead to an end where there isn't any work to do, or maybe gives the wrong directions to succeed in. Even if it's outdated, it still is interesting. But because quests get repetitive, then I didn't finish the game at least before making this game. So at least I can't binge play this game. Or maybe I didn't play it correctly. Maybe I'll continue playing it, but I might not finish it before starting the second game in the series. Of course, because making videos on different games. One of which will be the latest game of the franchise, for which I reviewed all available games in language that I understood. Anyways, about Arena. Of course, I recommend this game to you at least to try it out to see if you can finish or not. Even if it's by taking a break from playing it. The finishing part. Or if you can't figure out how to do it the main story constantly, if it's possible to do. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like the video, subscribe and comment. Comment. Not comment, comment on the comments. See you next time.